Welcome back. Episode 14 of Griddyiron Gang. What we got for you today is a Week 5 recap. But before we get into that, we got to touch on some breaking news around the league. Head coach Matt Rule has been relieved of his duties after a 1-4 start in Carolina. What was his record? 11-27 over his 2.5 seasons or so as a head coach out there. I know you weren't the biggest fan of this hire. What were your thoughts initially when you heard about this, as well as the DC being let go?
Well, first of all, for Matt Rule, I was like, it's about damn time. I mean, they got to get something going. I mean, it's a dumpster fire for the rest of the year. I mean, I would expect to see them probably trade some people away. They got to start building that shit from the bottom up again. It's nice to see Steve Wilkes be named interim head coach, even while he's going through that lawsuit he has against the NFL right now.
That's funny.
The defensive coordinator being fired, I think it might have just been because he's tied to Matt Rule and they haven't been good in any aspect, really. I mean, the defense hasn't been horrible, but it's just a dumpster fire. I mean, that's all I can really say. I mean,
The defense has been okay, but there's no excuse to give up 37 points to the 49ers.
But, I mean, yeah, you can't, especially Jimmy G. I mean, I'm not knocking Jimmy G by any means, but he's not like a lighted up quarterback. I think you look at it, you got to put this on the owner and the GM. Like, terrible hire. Like, you just set your organization back a few years. Like, and then you're losing a lot of time.
Yeah, I understand. He turned Temple around. He turned Baylor around. But I'd like to see him do it at one of these, maybe, I don't know, Big Ten, SEC schools. I mean, Baylor doesn't play defense out there in the Big 12. Temple, we know, is a smaller Division I school. So to do that and not have any responsibilities in the NFL as an OC, anything like that, running back coach, quarterback coach, to just get the HC job, especially, I mean, the amount of years he got off that deal was quite crazy. So, I mean,
that was baffling.
It's a tough hire, man. I mean, like you said, I mean, it's going to set them back a couple of years. I mean, they got pieces on the defense, they got pieces on the offense, but they messed up with that hire, and they messed up with a couple of player decisions along the way as well. One of those probably being Baker.
You look at it. He's had 6 or 7 starting different quarterbacks. I mean, he's obviously he fits well, and he's a great college coach, can recruit very well. Sometimes coaches are just meant for college. Sometimes some of them can excel in college and in the NFL. But most of the time when you're coming from college football, you don't succeed that well in the NFL when you've been a big-time coach in college games. I mean, a lot of these NFL coaches, they're NFL players sticking around and jumping right into a coaching staff in the NFL. The NFL is run a lot differently than college ball. There's a lot of different intricacies to it. So in these college coaches, they're usually coming from lower level colleges or high schools when they get their coaching jobs. So for Matt Rule, I mean, credit to him, he got paid and he still owed more than $40 million by them. So he's getting banked no matter what. And that's just a testament to, testament to him for what he's done in college and, getting that contract. But as an owner and GM, you're stupid for handing out a contract to someone who's unproven in the NFL.
We see it time and time again, and it never works out.
I mean, even Saban struggled in the NFL. He wasn't cut out for it. He ran right back to college, and he's the most successful college coach. So there's just the way college works, the NFL works. It's two different games, and sometimes a lot of it is these NFL players who are grown men, they don't connect to these college coaches who come in and they kind of have that rah college hype to them, and I don't know if he was connecting with his players that well. They just seem uninterested in playing half the time when they're out there.
Yeah, hopefully that changes going forward because they do have talent on both sides of the ball. Quarterback is obviously a huge issue. Baker has an ankle injury, and it's looking like P.J. Washington will get the nod going forward, given Darnold isn't healthy. But even if Darnold was healthy, I'd probably go ahead with P.J. I've seen what Baker and Darnold can do, so might as well give P.J. a shot at this point. We're 1-4. We look like we're a bottom 5 team, so might as well get the young guy out there.
Yeah, it's a bad situation all around, but they got to move forward and get stuff going in some sort of positive direction.
They do, as well as both of these teams. Thursday night football, we had the Colts, and we just talked about a struggling coach. They beat a struggling coach, and Nathaniel Hackett, 12-9 in overtime. They beat the Denver Broncos. 7 field goals, 12 punts, 25 third down stops, 4 interceptions, 6 fumbles, a game for the ages. Glad I stayed up late to watch this one. Some of the fans didn't have the same idea, though. Leaving before overtime starts, 9-9 going into that period, you see fans exiting the stadium in Denver. It's already bad enough that they have to call run pass like we're in a high school game. But now the fans are leaving. The players are frustrated after the game. Russell seems to be dealing with a pectoral tear. Injuries are piling up. I think it's time to panic in Denver.
Oh, yeah. They look like a 4 to 6 win team right now, if that. You got Colts had what was it here? 4.3 yards per pass. Denver had 5.8 yards per pass. 4.2 yards per play for the Colts. 5.3 for Denver. It was one of the ugliest games I've seen in a long time. You know what? These Thursday night games, a lot of times they don't turn out to be the best, but the NFL's got to do something where they're planning for these. It's hard to do in the off season when you're making these schedules because there's new guys coming to different teams and different personnel every year on these teams. But look at just base it off the past year of records and everything. Don't schedule bottom feeder teams from the previous year on these primetime slates. I'm just sick of it. Like, no one wants to watch Washington and Chicago this Thursday.
Chicago.
No. It's and you know what? I Justin Fields in Chicago, they looked the most competent that they have all season this Sunday, but we're not on that right now. But this Colts and Denver game, it was putrid. I know they say Russell was playing with a partially torn lat or something, and if that's the case, then sit out because your team sucks anyways. This coach is terrible. He needs to be fired right now. It's that bad. Matt Ryan needs to retire. There's just you got Jonathan Taylor out, you got Javonte Williams out. That hurts the run game, but. Like you said, 7 field goals, 12 punts, 25 third down stops, 4 interceptions, 6 fumbles. That is so – even for a Thursday night game, that's uncalled for, bro. We're professional athletes. Professional coaches, this is buffoonery. I hope there's never another game like that in prime time. And we're looking like we're going to have repeat performance this Thursday most likely.
This Thursday, I could really understand your, whatever you want to call it, soliloquy, your argument or whatever. But for the Broncos-Colts game heading into the season, we both thought these teams would probably be in the playoffs. Colts, we thought would win their division. Denver, we obviously thought would look a lot better than this, 10 wins or so. So, I understand this game, but it's set in stone, these Thursday night games. You can't really flex these ones out. So, we just got to sit. We just got to deal with that. Well, and that's the tough part about it.
That's what I mean by the NFL, though. Look, they didn't have to. Granted, before the season when they made the schedule, this looked like one of the better games in prime time for the year. It didn't work out that way. Now, I don't think Washington and Chicago is going to be nearly as bad as this because this is a low of the lows. You can't get much worse than this game. It's
not
just
to mention we have to watch Denver again on Monday.
And that that's the Russell Wilson effect. When he signed, they made sure they got so many primetime games this year, and it's a joke now. Who would have known? Who would have thought? I didn't think Russell would look this bad. I didn't. Granted, I wasn't sold on Nathaniel Hackett as a head coach to begin with, but
Right.
he's proving me and everyone else that he's just not cut out for it. He's way in over his head. Can't make good decisions in critical scenarios. It's this. I mean, I would be so embarrassed to be a Denver fan. I feel terrible for him because this has got to be one of, you look good on paper, but you perform like the worst team in the NFL right now.
No question about it. You know, they've struggled with the Thursday night game so far, but the two London games have been pretty good. And this Giants game against the Packers was one of those really good ones. Packers up 20-10 at halftime. Zip in the second half. They get a safety with about, 13 seconds left or so. Giants outscored them 17-0 to come back, even with Saquon leaving the game with a shoulder injury for a little bit, but he comes back, seals the game up. Daniel Jones didn't trip over his toes, and when he's not doing that, he can be fairly effective. I know you texted me during this game or maybe after. Dayball Coach of the Year. Tell the people why you think that.
You look at this Giants team, and even when they're healthy, they don't have much firepower besides Saquon. I mean, Sterling Shepard, they're decent in the pass game when he's out there, but he's always hurt. Kenny Golladay looks like a bust at this point, besides the 1 year in 2019 with the Lions and Matt Stafford making them look good. They were out. They were out without Golladay. They were out Kadarius Toney. They were without Sterling Shepard. They were down a bunch of guys this game, so no one was giving them a chance. Not even me. I thought Green Bay had this game by 2 touchdowns at least. But you know, for Dayball, I mean, he is terrific with his scheming, his game planning, and his adjustments. And these guys love playing for him. He's a mastermind with the offense. You see what he did with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I mean, and he's taken this lowly Giants team and he's making them look, pretty damn
respectable.
Decent. Yeah. And, on Green Bay's side, they played, a pretty much flawless first half. But the second half, I don't know what was up in the second half. The game plan just wasn't there. I don't know if they made adjustments or not. But to end this game with double the pass attempts compared to rush attempts is unacceptable with your 2-star running backs, and that's the way you are winning games. I don't know. That's what I don't like about Matt LaFleur is he tends to have these great games where he schemes up, great game plans and everything, but he tends to try to be too smart, and he outsmarts himself. And
him and Rodgers doing that, that's a bad combination.
And what else do I have on here? That was my biggest problem with Green Bay is why would you go away from the run game when you are consistently getting first downs and good chunk yards with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon running the ball? I mean, and even you're not even targeting them in the pass game, the short game, which is Rodgers was trucking it downfield all game long and it wasn't working. I mean, to have Randall Cobb with, lead the team with in catches and yards, this dude is damn near washed up. So I just, ultimately as a Vikings fan, I'm happy the Giants won, but, you expect Green Bay to blow those games out against teams like that. And I think we're starting to slowly trend towards a new era of Green Bay football where it's not the all high and mighty, dominant regular season Packers that we're used to. Rodgers is not clicking with his receivers like we're used to. Matt LaFleur is, he's not calling great games. But credit to the Giants. They were moving the ball at will, especially in the second half. I mean, their defense, they're not the greatest, but they stepped up in key situations. You look at those 2 batted down balls at the end of the game. They were pressuring Rodgers really well. It was, they came out, especially in that second half, and took it to the Packers. So credit to them.
No doubt. In that 4-1, they're sitting right at the top of the NFC East, which is turning out to be the best division in the league so far. Giants. I know, man. Who would have thought? I mean, like you said, though, Dabo, He's made all the difference out there in New York. And right now, like I said, 4-1. I know we don't think Daniel Jones is the guy going forward, but how many wins do you think he's going to have to keep the job for next season?
Daniel Jones?
Yeah.
Man.
I believe we both had him ranked 30 going into the season.
Yeah, I think they're moving on regardless of wins this year. But I would say you at least have to get 10 or 11 wins this year to make it justifiable for you to keep your job going forward. I mean, he managed the game well, managed the offense well, led him well this Sunday. Rating of 100.2, QBR of 75.2, which is both higher than Aaron Rodgers, so that's great. But the real story here is just how dominating and how much of a beast Saquon Barkley is. I mean, he looks so fast out there, decisive cuts. I mean, that they're Dayball. I mean, and that I don't know what it is, but that Wildcat with him Sunday worked wonderfully. I mean, you knew what they were going to do. It was either going to Matt Breida or Saquon.
And you have to be ready for it. You saw it. You saw it the week prior when Tyrod Taylor and Daniel Jones went down. You got to be prepared for that.
I think, it came down to the Giants just punching the Packers in the mouth this second half, and that's what won the game. And obviously Saquon had a couple huge plays in the second half to set them up nicely, and that touchdown run to the right pylon. But ultimately it was a great game to watch. Start off 8:30 a.m. Sunday morning, start your day off. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better game really to start the day off with.
Hey, nothing like you to start the day off with the Packers loss and follow it up with the Bears L to your Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, man.
You guys, I feel like you had a good balance on offense. Kirk started 17 for 17. Cook had 94 yards on the ground. JJ had 12 for 154. But that defense is a question, man. And you know what I do? I give you the floor. Tell me about it. What you see?
It's atrocious. And, it's funny because I see a couple people on social media after the game posting, "Oh, we're 4-1. So shut the fuck up. Only fans I know are complaining about being 4-1." And that's all well and fine. But you know what? You gotta look at yourself in the mirror and look at reality. Be realistic. Our offense is winning us games. This defense is putrid. I don't understand the game plans that Ed Donatello's laying out there for us. I mean, I don't get the scheming. Why are we 7 to 8 yards off the fucking receivers every time? They're getting at least 5 yards of play each pop. No doubt about it. Underneath is wide open every time. We're finding the soft spots in the defense. We're relying on a 4-man rush damn near the whole game. Then we're not getting to the quarterback. And that's unacceptable against this fucking Chicago Bears O-line. Like, are you kidding me? We should have been pressuring Fields all day. Credit to Fields, though. I mean, this was the first game I thought he used, maneuvered the pocket and escaped really well, used his legs. If it wasn't for Fields, this game wouldn't have been close. It was because of Fields that it was close. And that's a credit to him. And, I give him props. And I think this type of game needs to happen if they're going to continue to be in these games. Because this is the most competent that offense looked all season. Credit to them. I mean, Darnell Mooney had damn near the catch of the year. So it was nasty, man. But, Shannon Sullivan, I don't know what the fuck he was doing that play, but he just got manhandled by Mooney. We kept David Montgomery in check, 1.7 yards or, average for, he had one TD, but it was Justin Fields beating us all day long and then you look at that long touchdown run he had that was called back, getting bailed out by a penalty again.
Questionable.
And like I told you, in a split-second decision a ref has, I probably would have called that because when you look at it, it did look like a block in the back, but when they slow it down, a lot of these penalties do look questionable. And we'll get to these overreacting refs on the Tua injury with the roughing the passer calls that are coming out. Like, it's
we'll get to that too.
We don't know no one's going to know how to play defense anymore. But, when it comes down to it, I love what O'Connell is doing with this offense, how Cousins is, leading the offense, we will keep pace with a lot of teams in the league with our offense alone. But it's the defense. I can't be. I was telling my dad, I was like, we get so excited when our offense is out there because we're confident we're going to score because we can march down the field easily on a lot of defenses. But once we score, then we got to sit there and worry about our damn defense giving up yards to, putrid offenses. Like I'm very, very nervous to face playoff caliber teams. I'm not looking for it. 4-1 is great and all. The name of the game is wins and losses. So 4-1, having a good lead in the division so far is great. Number 2 seed in the NFC. And I think we need to have a home playoff game if we want any success in the playoffs, because it's hard to play at our stadium and we don't tend to play well on the road, especially in prime time. So I think I'm completely out on this Ed Donatel experience as D coordinator. I'm not a fan of this 3-4 scheme. I would much rather we might as well have kept Mike Zimmer as a defensive coordinator and just demoted him, because at least with the 4-3 we were stopping. We can at least with the 4-3 stop the run efficiently, and with Zimmer we're playing man coverage. I hate this soft zone coverage. Like, I don't understand it because I don't think we have the personnel that aligns with this scheme. We just don't.
What's the purpose of that? To not get beat deep?
Yeah, they just don't want to get beat by the big play.
You play 2 safeties over the top?
Yep. And
that's essentially, if you're going to get to the Super Bowl, you're going to play the Bills or the Chiefs probably, and that's how they have been slowed down. So, I mean, I understand if that's the scheme you're trying to run to get you guys used to it, but if you don't have the personnel, you don't have the personnel.
And I don't think we do. You got Harrison he's making key plays every game. Cam Bynum and who's the other safety? Josh Metellus. I don't really trust them right now. It hurts not having seen this year anymore to grow and learn in the rookie year. But, Cam Dantzler, hats off to him. He's hands down been our best defensive player this year. Pat Pete, P2, gets beat damn near every other play. He's slow and washed up. Don't trust him at all. Daniil Hunter, he's not showing up. He's not showing up. He has flashes, but he's not showing up consistently. Same with Za'Darius. I'm not paying you this type of money as pass rushers to just play when you want to play. You're there to get to the quarterback, and you should have tore up this Chicago Bears O-line. So the frustration is real with me on this defense. Like, I like Dalvin Tomlinson and Harrison Phillips up the middle. They've been doing a pretty damn good job, stopping the run for the most part. But, and then you got, Hicks is a great tackler, probably one of our most consistent tacklers. Kendricks, he's, a great coverage linebacker. But it's just these guys. I just don't see the consistency overall in this defense. It's almost like, we'll make a great stop and then we'll give up 3 plays to just let them march down the field. I mean, it's this is the life of a Vikings fan. It's when things go right, it's going to go way worse. So
that's the slogan right there. My takeaway from this game was, if the Bears weren't going to win, which I thought they had a chance to do, I just wanted the Vikings to cover because I had you covering, and you guys couldn't do that. So that was frustrating. That was frustrating to watch. I figured this was a 14-point game easily.
That's what I thought too. Man, I'm so sick of being in close games and coming down to the wire. Like those games are fun, but as a fan, I don't want every game to be like that. And that's not showing me you're one of the top teams. You have to have a few games where you blow these teams out. Mm-hmm. Because once we get to Buffalo, once we get to Dallas, like, our offense will be put to the test, but our defense is going to get slaughtered. Like, and those will be games we lose by 2 to 3 touchdowns if keeps going. Like, it is what it is, man. Like, we saw what happened in Philadelphia, and that team looks damn near better than the Bills right now. So I'm just and I just and it's refreshing having a coach like Kevin O'Connell, but at the same time, you gotta voice your frustrations about your defense, man. Like, this is you can't just be there every game saying, "Whoa, a win is a win. We pulled it out, and I'm proud of these guys for fighting." And it's like, no, hold yourself to a higher standard for what is stopping these offenses. Like, what are you doing every practice? Like, I don't get it. Like, are you just giving our offense, a good test in practice, and then our defense is just there to just show up? Or I don't understand what's going on at TCO Performance Center during the week, or this Ed Donatel shit. It's just frustrating. I'm at a loss for words because our defense does not complement our offense, and our offense is one of the best in the NFL, but our defense is putrid.
Like your coach said, a win is a win, and in the division, it almost counts as 2.
And I'm happy to be. Let me get this out the way. I'm happy to be 4-1. Like, because if we're sitting, we could easily be 1-4 right now. Which would you rather be, 1-4 or 4-1? Obviously, I'll take 4-1. Even though they're close games. All I'm going to say is I hope that these games early on in the season that we're having right now and that we're pulling off is going to make us mentally tougher and grittier to pull out harder games against Dallas, against Buffalo. I mean, hell, even against Arizona. Like, there's even injured Dolphins team because they still got playmakers that are going to play. So it's we got work to do. It's a long season. I'm happy to be 4-1, but it's frustrating as all hell.
I understand that for sure. Our second division game of the day, we had the Falcons at the Bucks. Tampa went up 21-0, and it looked like I was going to cover again, but Atlanta scores 15 unanswered, and they probably would have completed the comeback if there wasn't a bogus call and a lot of controversy down there in Florida, man. Jarrett sacks Tom Brady, and they call roughing the passer or unnecessary roughness, one of the two, and it was a very egregious call. I mean, everybody was talking about it today. If you saw the replay, you would have never thought twice about it. It was perfect. There was nothing wrong with it, especially now when you can't hit him high, you can't hit him low, you can't drive him into the ground. He didn't do any of that. I mean, I don't know what you're supposed to do. Like you said, we're going to have guys not knowing how to play defense, and with that call right there, that's a perfect example. That's just uncalled for.
And it's a total overreaction to his injury. Number one, the Dolphins and, no one handled that situation well at all. And the stuff, the NFL has needed to change the concussion protocol for a long time because no one wants to see these guys having brain injuries and stuff going, into the retirement and all the mental health issues that come after it. No one wants to see that. But a lot of times it comes down to these coaches and these medical staffs. They need to sit there and take the helmet away. Even if they think that they're okay, the player's always going to be like, I can go back in. As a coach and as medical staff, you're paid to keep your players safe as well as win games. So take the helmet and don't give it back. I mean, yeah, they'll be upset in the short term, but in the long term, they'll be thankful. So, but with these overreacting, refs that are making these bogus calls, that's unacceptable. Especially, again, I mean, even when it comes down to it, and obviously, I mean, I think that ref, I think his name's Jerome Boger or whatever, he had another bad call the previous week that they replayed, but I can't recall it. But it's just like, man, come on, dude. Like, these guys.
Talk about Calvin Ridley. We might have to start talking about some of these refs too.
It's just like the targeting bullshit in college. Like, that's one of the weakest rules in the. I mean, half the time it's not targeting, and they still get targeted. So, I don't know. A lot of these things is just, it's frustrating,
It's just a lot different from how we grew up. I understand you want to protect the quarterback, but that's not the art of the rule right there. That's a clean play. That's a great play. That's just Tom. That's the only reason you called that, because I seen a couple low hits on Lamar, a couple low hits on Burrow, a nasty low hit on Kenny Pickett in the Buffalo game, and I don't think any of those got any flags. So it's just name, man, and that's something we can't have either. When these guys get these calls just because of who they are,
No,
I've never liked that.
It's Rodgers
I've
and
never
Brady
liked
all day. I don't get why they get so many calls, but it is what it is, man. Back to the game though. I mean, I think if Atlanta shows up all 4 quarters, they beat Tampa Bay. I think that the first 2, maybe 3 quarters, they didn't play well at all, going down 21-0. But when they turned it on, they could have easily taken that game to Tampa Bay. Now, on the other side of things with Tampa Bay, I think they kind of found their formula while they have the injuries going on to do. They kind of found the formula that needs to happen, getting Brady passing early and often, and featuring Fournette in both the pass and run game. Those 2 things I think you need to keep doing if you want to start winning and get on a little run for the Buccaneers, that is. Tampa Bay, in my eyes, is still one of the best teams in the league. They're just, kind of riddled by injuries right now. And, they're starting to show their age a little bit. But at the end of the day, get them healthy, and Tom Brady's going to, lead you to a lot of wins.
Yeah, I don't like what I'm seeing from this box score. Only 14 carries for Fournette, 23 as a team, but he did have 10 catches. 52 attempts from Brady, though. I mean, who is this guy? Kenny Pickett?
All right, that's what I'm saying, yeah. So
next game. Go ahead. Say your piece and we'll move on.
Yeah, I think, it's encouraging, though, on the Atlanta side of things that they're, even though they went down 21-0, that they fought and came back to make it a 6-point game. I think
no Pitts, no Patterson.
Yeah, so that was encouraging from their standpoint. And they're obviously, Atlanta is a team that's not going to make the playoffs. They're going to have a high draft pick. But at the same time, when Pitts is healthy, get him the damn ball.
Please. I'm not even a Falcons fan. I'm a fan of the game, and we need that to happen. Next game, we have the Vikings' Week 6 opponent, the Miami Dolphins, on the road at the New York Jets, taking a big L, 17-40 now. They started the game with their backup quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. He goes out in the first series with they seem to be a head injury and an elbow injury. So with their third-string quarterback, they didn't pass the ball that well as you would expect, but they did run the ball well. But so did the Jets, as well as, not a bad game from Zach Wilson. This was a very well-balanced, all-around game on both sides of the ball for the Jets. 40 points, I think, was the high of the week as far as points scored, and I would have never put my money on any week for the Jets to hold that title. This is a fairly scary sight for this Miami defense to be giving up that many points. I understand you have a third-string quarterback, but still a lot of talent on that side of the ball. No. He didn't throw 4 pick sixes. I mean, I don't know how bad he was or when those turnovers occurred, if he had any. I didn't get a chance to look at his box score yet. Let me look at it right now. But still, there's no excuse for that. He only had 1 pick. I don't know if he had any fumbles. You can look that up while I'm talking. But as far as a team who we thought was really good as far as beating the Buffalo Bills in Week 3 and looking like they just took down the juggernauts of the league, to end up being 3-2 after that, losing 2 in a row, no quarterback. We don't know Teddy's status. But I don't know, man. This might be a spiral with a new head coach down there in Miami. It might be going downhill real fast.
Yeah, I think Miami's defense is pretty bad. I mean, they've given up, quite a few points this year already. And without Tua, they're going to be in trouble. I think Tua makes that team go. I'm not saying I'm the most confident in him overall right now when he is healthy, but he's been proven throughout the first, 3 games he was in fully, that he makes this team 10 times better, even with the defense giving up the yards and points that they are. And you need for Tyreek to go off. With Skylar Thompson, Tyreek may have a couple big plays, but he's not going to be Tyreek that we know.
Right.
Now on the other side of things, I think this Jets team is a very feisty team. Zach Wilson 2-0 since he got back. He's head and shoulders above Joe Flacco. And they're going to be in positions to win some games and close games with him in there. The big story of the day is obviously Breece Hall being, 2 catches, 100 yards, 18 carries, 97 yards, a touchdown. I mean, that dude looked for real yesterday. And I like what I see. I like this Jets team. I like this coach. I think they're building a good culture over there. And I do believe I predicted that Sauce Gardner interception as well.
I'm not sure if you did any of that, but before the season, we both like this Jets team. It's unfortunate your starting quarterback goes down and Joe Flacco's his replacement. So you're going to start slow, and that's inevitable. But like you said, 2-0. Zach Wilson is a starter now. So maybe this team can get rolling a little bit. The AFC East isn't that strong outside of Buffalo, obviously. New England has their moments, but I think they have a chance. They obviously just dealt with Miami like it was nothing. So the next time they'll play them, it probably won't be in Miami Heat. So they could probably fare well in that game as well.
Yep.
Our last division game, we have probably the surprise of the day. Houston getting their first win of the season on the road in Florida. A lot of bad things going on in Florida this week, man. 13-6. Their 9th win in a row against Jacksonville and their 5th in a row in Jacksonville. I thought that stat was very surprising.
I have that too.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Jacksonville, simplest way to put it, you shit the bed. You were one of the hot teams after week 3. You played a tough game week 4 against Philly. And after this loss right here, I think everybody's back off the bandwagon.
Yeah, I think I don't know what it is with Houston having Jacksonville's number like they do, but I think the recipe for success for Houston is feed Dameon Pierce the ball and just play defense.
Baby beast mode.
Because I don't think Davis Mills, he ain't it really. He can game manage, but that's about it.
They'll have Jared Goff next year.
And it was nice to see Stingley get his first INT. So, props to Houston for pulling this one out. There's not a lot of games you look at the schedule and be like, oh yeah, I'm confident that Houston's going to win this game. So it's nice to see them, get a division win. But yeah, Jacksonville, especially Dougie P, like this is a game you can't lose. Like, especially, Trevor Lawrence, the people you brought in over the offseason, it's just, you can't lose this game. Houston's sorry to say, they're just too bad to, lose a division game. Like, I think Jacksonville is much better than what they displayed Sunday.
Yeah, they are. And Trevor Lawrence was just bad. You probably have to put that loss on him.
Yeah.
Star of the game, though, like you said, Dameon Pierce, he's making a case for Rookie of the Year, especially with Olave going out in that Seattle game we'll get to in a little bit. He might be the front runner going into week 6.
Yeah, hey, I'm happy about that because that was my pick. So, Florida boy, Gator Chomp, let's, add to the hardware.
I understand. Our next game, Pittsburgh Steelers on the road at the Buffalo Bills. Kenny Pickett gets his first start, and Pittsburgh let him loose. 52 pass attempts, only 1 pick, sacked 3 times. So on paper, those numbers aren't too crazy. I mean, you would expect probably 3 picks out of that, maybe a higher number of sacks, given that Buffalo has the best pass rush in the league. But 3-38. And I don't think this team really had a chance, but I did see good things from Kenny Pickett in this game. On the other side of things, your boy Josh Allen was slinging that football all over the field, 98-yard touchdown. He threw another one deep to Gabe Davis. You texted me and said this is the Randy Moss Thanksgiving game.
The way it was starting, it was looking that way, man. 3 catches, 171 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, Gabe Davis is for real. I mean, he compliments Stephon Diggs really well. I mean, they got a dynamic air attack out there in Buffalo. It's just, you can't have Josh Allen leading the way rushing the ball every week. That's a recipe for disaster at the end of the season.
We keep talking about it.
So they're going to be Buffalo could be one of those teams that's very dominating in the regular season, once playoffs hit, there's something that goes wrong and they're back at home on the couch. That's just the feeling I'm starting to get with this team. And this is a game against a team like Pittsburgh, who was one of the worst, if not the worst team in the NFL right now. That you need to win games like this by this type of score. That if you're the best team in the league, you have to do that. And so props to them for doing that, taking care of business. Pittsburgh is just awful. And, I hate to say it, but I don't think Najee Harris is a RB1. I don't think he is.
I don't know, man. I loved him in college, loved him in high school.
He's just not.
It's tough behind that O-line. That O-line's tough, and the running game is very tough.
And it's, you know what? It's tough, but the running back's life in the NFL is very short. And if he doesn't get it going, he ain't going to be looked at as one of the premier running backs ever to play in the NFL.
No, I agree. We're not gonna slander Alabama right now. We're not gonna praise Gator Child.
I'm not slandering Alabama. It's just what I'm seeing with Najee is, I granted Buffalo's got a great defense, but 1.8 yards, averaging carrying the ball and a long of 6 yards. Come on, dude. You're a number one pick for them. You gotta show up. When Kenny Pickett in the pass game is not working, you got to run that ball, tote that rock, and make that offense go. And George Pickens, 6 catches, 83 yards. I kind of knew. I get the feeling that Pickett and Pickens is going to be a thing going forward in this year. So,
he had a nice catch.
Yeah, and it's like every damn game, I feel like we get a highlight of him run blocking and knocking the cornerback down.
He did. I like that.
So, I like Pickens a lot. I love Tomlin. I'm not a Steeler hater by any means, but they're going to have a top pick in the draft this season.
So Josh Allen had 4 touchdowns, accounted for about 470 yards. On the other side of things, you just mentioned Tomlin. He is open to making lineup and coaching changes. Do you have thoughts on that? Do you think it's time to do that in the middle of the season, or wait till after season?
Think about it, though. It's, Tomlin is saying that because he's used to winning. He's a successful coach. He's a successful head coach. He's not used to winning or losing like this. So I understand where he's coming from. I don't know if I would do it. I think, Tomlin, at the end of the day, he doesn't deserve to be fired in any shape or form, because this is not on him. It's just the hand he was dealt with this roster. I think you just got to stay patient, keep the faith, and start building again in this draft. Bring in some free agents this offseason and start over. You got your quarterback of the future playing right now. He's only going to get better. So I think, this. I think this might be, just a 1-year thing with Pittsburgh. I think they can turn this around fairly quickly by next year.
I think I agree with you, because they have the weapons on offense. You might not like Najee, but I think he can be a top 15 running back in this league. The O-line needs some work. This defense seemed like they were the best in the league when T.J. Watt was there, and I think if he comes back, he'll definitely put them back in the top 6 or 7 or so. So yeah. If Kenny Pickett can just be right around that 20 to 23 quarterback, Mike Tomlin's going to be able to do enough with the rest of the roster to have them right back into the playoffs next year, especially with the top pick. I agree with that wholeheartedly. One of the games of the day, we had the Los Angeles Chargers at the Cleveland Browns, taking the dub 30-28. Cleveland went up 14-0 early in this one. Chargers came back, 3 unanswered scores took the lead, and from there it's pretty much back and forth. This game came down to the fourth quarter, where Jacoby Brissett threw an interception on the goal line, but game wasn't over yet, because the Chargers make bad decisions with that coach over there. They go for it on 4th down on their own 46, do not get it, give Cleveland back the ball with 1 minute, 10 seconds left. They have a 54-yard field goal to win the game. Their rookie kicker misses it. But Cleveland, goddamn, y'all should be 5-0. I'm not even going to lie. You're 2-3, though, and that's the name of the game, man.
And Deshaun's allowed back in the building now. So we're gonna start seeing a shift. I think with this team once he's back in their week 11, I think it is, or week 12. If they're still in it, they're gonna be a dark horse for the playoffs. And I always say Jacoby Brissett, he always tends to make those costly mistakes. He should have if he would have just thrown it out of bounds, because where he threw it to, there was no receiver anywhere. It was just all D-backs.
Terrible.
You throw that away, just go out there, attempt the field goal. If you make it, you take the lead and you possibly win the game. But the Chargers, this team is not going anywhere with this head coach leading the way.
No.
He makes too many dumbass decisions. This roster is too talented for this to be happening. To be 3-2, I think it is.
An ugly 3-2. They should be 1-4 probably.
Yep. And he just, you hear him talking. He's just like Matt Rule almost. He doesn't deserve to be an NFL head coach, and he should be on the hot seat. I have that written down. He should be on the hot seat. Even if they have a winning season, he probably still deserves to be fired because this team is much better than what they're playing. And Herbert is a good quarterback. Credit to Eckler and Mike Williams for having big days yesterday. Especially with Keenan Allen out, Mike Williams has to have days like that. I think it was like 10 catches for 134. Eckler over 100 yards. It's just. Yeah, I was pulling for the Cleveland Browns to win this game, man. It was tough to see Jacoby throw that pick at the end because I think they would have pulled it off.
Yeah, they were beating the Chargers. I think they were better than the Chargers this game. I'm never mad to see Cleveland lose, but I definitely thought they were the better team. I liked watching this game. It was a battle of the running backs. After we slandered Eckler, he goes off for 2 big games. That's 173 yards this game. After I slandered Houston, they're going to get their first W. You slandered Dallas, they're not going to lose again for the rest of the season. Maybe I need to slander my own team pretty soon here.
Yeah, that Dallas take is not aging well. They look like, I hate to say it, but if they were to make the Super Bowl, I would just...
Whoa. All right, we'll just go to the next topic before we get into that. The Lions on the road in New England held to 0 points, the highest scoring offense in the league, shut out by Bill Belichick, and he really shows why he is the one. 29-0, winning with a third-string quarterback, Bailey Zappi, out of where? Nobody knows. Who's this guy? Nobody knows. Rookie quarterback, but Bill gets the job done. Is Dan Campbell a coach who you're looking to be on the hot seat? Aaron Glenn, maybe, the DC out there, looking to be on the hot seat.
Maybe Aaron Glenn, but
okay.
I wouldn't say Dan Campbell just yet. I think guys still love playing for him. Not that I know that only means so much if you're only losing games, but we still got a little ways to go to get this roster where you want it with that coach. They're not there yet. So you got to be patient with it because the next 2 years, they're going to be a team not to fuck with. I truly believe that. And I agree. And missing DeAndre Swift hurts this team big time. I mean, he makes that whole thing go for them on offense. I just, asked my question. I put down the question on my notes here is, where was the number one offense in the league? Like, where were they? I mean, you can't. It's not just one guy putting up those points and putting up those yards. So why was there a disappearing act yesterday?
How does this happen?
Like even going against a Bill Belichick defense, their defense is not as good as it usually is with him. So. And that team is, and especially with Bailey Zappi at quarterback, I don't think they should have lost this game, but they got blown up. So something, I don't know if it was just they didn't prepare well enough last week, or what it was, but it was just a head scratching game to me. Because I don't think New England is that much better than Detroit. I think Detroit's the better team, overall. And when you think of Mac Jones being out, you don't think, oh, I'm confident we're going to win, 29-0 against Detroit? I think we're going to win 29-0 with Bailey Zappi leading the way. Credit to him, he managed the game well, but Bill Belichick, that looked like a classic Bill Belichick defense yesterday. So,
Yes, it did.
I don't know if that's here to stay and it's going to be consistent, but it looked good yesterday.
Classic Billy go, man. Take away your option. Whoever you want, you're not going to have them. We're going to double them. We're going to triple them. We're going to bracket them. If it's a running back, we're putting 9 in the box. We're putting 8 in the box. You're going to have to beat us a different way. Detroit couldn't figure it out. You would think they would be able to do something with all the weapons they have, but this was just embarrassing on their part.
Yeah. And I mean, shoot, Ramondre Stevenson, I like this dude at running back. 25 carries, 161 yards. Like, shoot. He's a nice little bowling ball out there.
Dog, if you can do that and Bailey Zappi 17 for 21 with the defense they have.
It's a recipe for success, bro.
I mean, I've been saying it, bro.
But, who knows? This New England team, to me, is a very hard team to read. I can't quite grasp what they are.
I am very indifferent about their 2 and 3. I feel like they could be a lot better or they could be a lot worse. So, I mean, I understand that feeling. They're, big question marks for New England this year, especially with no Mac Jones right now.
Yep.
Tennessee at the Commanders, 21-17. Took a big lead early and held on to it late. Carson Wentz doing what Carson Wentz does, throws an interception late to seal the fate for the Commanders. Called out after the game by his coach, Ron Rivera, says the difference between them and the rest of the division is the quarterback. And, man, the Red Rifle is not doing what he's supposed to be doing right now.
He's awful. Ain't no way around it. He's awful. He's a guy that should just be out of the NFL and just do us all, every team in the league, do us all fans a favor, just retire. Go away.
How many times does your quarterback throw for 359 yards and you tell us he's the problem? Like, that's crazy.
Because he has these games where he puts up numbers like that and it does nothing. Like he can't. I don't know what it is about him. He doesn't have the it factor. He makes dumb decisions even when he has games like that. Like it's so frustrating to watch because. You look at that first year he was in the league with Philadelphia and he looked like he could be something special, but ever since then it's just been a shit show with him, and I don't know what it is, man. It's frustrating because I think this Washington team could be very fun to watch on a weekly basis. I feel terrible for Terry McLaurin because he should be putting up a lot better numbers than what he is. He's one of the most underrated guys in the league. And he's going to keep going overlooked because of the quarterback play out there. So,
I need to see Terry and Kyle Pitts on the same team with the top 10 quarterback.
That'd be fun. That'd be something to watch. But, at Washington, 1 for 11 on third downs, that is unacceptable.
Terrible.
So bad. I mean, you can't win games like that. And
that's why the numbers are deceiving, because you see the 360 and you're like, wow, Carson had a great game, but you didn't have any of those yards when it mattered, and you threw a pick to end the game.
Yeah, and, Washington, I felt Washington's defense did enough to win, but the offense is just bad.
Yeah, it's tough. And they have as many weapons as anybody out there.
And I mean, I think the biggest thing with Tennessee is Derrick Henry just, he wore him down. Like, he wore him down physically, and they were able to punch it in, 3 times. So, and 2 of them being Derrick Henry. He was the player of the game in my eyes. And
100 yards again, finding his legs.
It's just, in Tennessee, winning, putting them atop the division once again. It's kind of one of those things like, what does it really mean though? Because that division is so weak. And I feel like if you're going to get a top seed in the playoffs in a home game, like, do you really deserve that? Like, with this team? I mean, they're not good.
They're not good. They have no playmakers, but they have the formula: a good defense, a good foundation, and a great running back who can wear you down, like you said.
Yeah, it's a credit to – I don't mean to cut you off, but it's a credit to Mike Vrabel. I think he's a great coach. I think he does his job very well.
I'd put him in the top 6. 5.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd have to think about it, but he's definitely a very good coach. He got that team to the 1-2 last year with a lot of the injuries they had. I mean, Derrick Henry obviously missed half the season, so if you're able to do that, you're doing something right.
It's I guess it's been disappointing though not hearing Robert Woods have a better year than what he's been having. I felt like him going there to Tennessee, it was going to put him on track to be like a bona fide number one receiver. Even with Tannehill throwing you the ball, so that's kind of disappointing. I think he's better than what his stats are showing.
I would like to say it might be better if he stayed with LA, but Allen Robinson right now has like 12 catches for about 100 yards. I mean, JJ had more production in his last game than Allen Robinson has all season. So
yeah, that's another shocking one. Is Allen? I mean, I don't get. Yeah, we'll get to LA, but
our last new game I thought was the game of the day. We had the Seattle Seahawks on the road in New Orleans to face the Saints. 32-39. I really don't know what to call this game, but I guess we're gonna have to go with the Taysom Hill game. What do you have? 3 rush touchdowns, 1 passing touchdown. I think he had a fumble recovery. He had a 60-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. If you pair that with Alvin Kamara's 194 yards from scrimmage, this team's gonna be really hard to beat with that defense. Now the defense didn't look that great. It's because Geno did. And he had 3 touchdowns, over 250 yards, and he honestly probably should have had 5. 1 was called back, and 1 was dropped by DK. So this guy looks really good. The Seahawks team looks terrible on defense, but I think the offense has a lot of weapons. They did lose Rashad Penny for the season, who was having a great season, and I hate to see that, man. But Kenneth Walker did have a big run in the fourth quarter, I believe. And he was one of my favorite players coming out of the draft. Offense is in good hands in Seattle, but defense needs some work, and that's not something we're used to seeing over the past, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, I have it written down here. Seattle, their defense doesn't do enough each game. Like, they just can't, seem to either get off the field or make key stops. They definitely couldn't stop Taysom Hill. I don't know if they just forgot about him or what the deal was, but Seattle was another team. They went 1 for 9 on third downs. That's unacceptable with that offense. And I think this is a year I can confidently say, like, Geno Smith is him, especially in this part of his career. Kudos to him for really, dealing with what he's dealt with his whole career, and New York Jets. Always being, not given the chance to be a number one quarterback, but he's taken lead this year, and he's surprising the hell out of me. So, and when you watch him, he's making, like you said, he's making throws and just diming it out there. And
bro, I am texting people during the game about Geno Smith. I never ever thought that would happen, but he is diming cats out there.
So, it's. I don't know, man. Seattle overall, not the greatest team, but Seattle is Seattle. Pete Carroll somehow always gets his teams to play well in a lot of games. So he's a good coach. I think what I give him 5 wins before the season, they're going to
something like that
most likely. So they'll be around a 500 team.
Yep.
With New Orleans, defense didn't look great, but you get this offense fully healthy, and they're going to be a team that's not fun to play.
Those weapons are ridiculous. There's no Michael Thomas, no Jarvis Landry. They still put up 40 points.
I think that New Orleans, they'll be a dark horse to make the playoffs, maybe. At least in the hunt up until the end of the year, but they're going to be one of those teams that's going to ruin a couple of teams' seasons.
Yeah, 2-3, they have an uphill climb, but they definitely have the ability on both sides of the ball, and they don't even have their starting quarterback right now. So,
right,
team you have to look out for. Do you guys play them this year?
We just beat them in London.
Oh, you did? I'm tripping.
We were lucky to win that game.
You were very lucky. That's why I shook my head and didn't say anything. Next game. I think this was America's game of the week. Of course it was. Cowboys at the Rams. 22-10. Cooper Rush now 4-0 as a starting quarterback. This Dallas defense, I'm going to have to say top 3 in the league right now. I mean, there's nothing that they can't do right now with Micah and DeMarcus Lawrence up front, and then you have Trey Diggs on the back end. I mean, he did get burnt by Kupp for a 75-yarder, but other than that, this team gave up 3 points for the whole game. And without that catch, I'm pretty confident the Rams were not going to be able to move the ball. So, with that being said, Dallas looks great. You mentioned them in the Super Bowl earlier. Don't let Skip hear you say that. On the other side of things, the Rams, terrible. 0 run game, terrible O-line. They have 1 receiver. We already mentioned Allen Robinson's stats for the season. Worse than Justin Jefferson's for the game. And I don't think there's an answer for this team. I mean, there's no D-line push. They're doubling and tripling Aaron Donald, and nobody else is winning their matchups. Jalen Ramsey's playing a different position, so he's not going to be as prominent as he was in years past. And they just don't have anybody making plays on either side of the ball right now.
No. I think the Rams, to even possibly make the playoffs and confidently make the playoffs, I think they're going to have to make a trade or two to, especially for something on the O-line. You got to get some sort of, it can't just be Kupp every single game. I don't know what's happening, but that offensive line is awful. They don't look even like half the team they were last year.
They looked awful. Them and Denver are the biggest surprises for me.
So now with Dallas, the defense, they are legit. They are scary. Man, that's a team I don't look forward to playing. But I wasn't saying that I think they're going to the Super Bowl. I just said it'd be very heartbreaking if they did end up in the Super Bowl because, I think Dallas and Green Bay are the 2 teams I hate the most. I think somehow though Mike McCarthy will blow it for them.
They'll be Dallas eventually.
Dak Prescott, they're going to make a mistake by going back to him. I think because Cooper Rush has the keys to the city with this team right now.
Yes, indeed.
So you're going to not ruin your season, but you're going to fuck up the flow of things, and you're going to fuck up the rhythm that Cooper has you in right now. And Dak he's like a Kirk Cousins. He'll play great, but then he'll play awful. So, and Cooper Rush, he's probably the best game manager I've seen out of a quarterback in a long time. I think he does things well. He doesn't make too many mistakes. His stat line wasn't the greatest for this game, but when you got Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott, you don't really need. I mean, and CeeDee Lamb kind of looks like a bust at this point.
Well, Cooper only threw for 102 yards.
But I'm saying CeeDee Lamb makes a lot of key drops.
Him and Marquise Brown have butterfingers. Like
that. And if he were to fix that, he would be one of the top receivers in the league. But until I mean, dude, come on, man. I think they made a mistake. Bad. I think they made a mistake trading Amari Cooper.
Oh, no question about it. And he's routing people. He routed J.C. Jackson up yesterday.
Yeah, I think I predict Dallas will eventually beat Dallas at some point, but let them have their little fun with this run that they're on. There's always some drama that surrounds this team that messes it up. I think Dak coming back. I don't expect Dak. I mean, look what he did against Tampa Bay. Did he look like a guy who could lead this team to deep in the playoffs?
No, Tampa's a top 5 defense, though. But I definitely agree with you. I'm on your side with that one.
I just, it is what it is. I have that standpoint right now with Dallas, but their defense, I can't knock them at all. They look like one, top 3, if not the best defense in the league right now. The way they're playing. I mean, when you got a guy like Diggs and Micah Parsons, shoot, those 2 right there shut shit down.
Yeah, that's a scary sight to see. I like when they put Micah and D-Law on the same side. I mean, that's trouble over there.
I just think, man, what do you think? Do you think Cooper Rush goes out and gets a QB1 job somewhere else eventually?
I think he's better than Case Keenum. Did Case Keenum ever
Well,
get a 1?
because of injury,
I don't think.
yeah. I'm saying
I don't. I
I
don't
guess
think.
he went to Denver, but
I'd have to look at who I think the worst teams would be. We could kind of go through it right now. I mean, Panthers, they'll need a quarterback, so they probably won't draft him.
Houston, stay in Texas, go to Houston.
They'll draft a quarterback too. There's probably 5 quarterbacks that'll go in the top 15. So if those teams aren't, I mean, do you think Pittsburgh would draft another quarterback?
No, they're rolling with Kenny.
I mean, Detroit's going to get one. Houston's going to get one. Panthers are going to get one. So
Yeah, I guess
Cooper's going to be on a team like.
what I'm saying is, does he deserve a shot to have a starting role going into a season?
He could, yeah, he might be the Colts quarterback or 49ers quarterback or something like that next year. If Trey Lance, 49ers back up or something.
Okay. All right.
I wouldn't put him in the top 32 quite yet, but 5-0 as a starter is impressive. 4-0 this season. I mean, I can't knock that.
And he's not just like doing.
He doesn't look
like
bad either.
He's winning these games decisively.
He doesn't look bad. I mean, the numbers aren't going to jump out at you, but he looks competent.
Yeah.
Our next game, we have 49ers at the Panthers. We touched on this a little bit earlier, 37-15. The Panthers are making everybody look like a Super Bowl contender right now. There's no way this 49ers team should score 37 points on you with the weapons that they have. But the defense is stingy, and Shanahan is always going to find a way for this run game to be effective, and that is the recipe. If Jimmy Garoppolo can go out and put up numbers like this team's going to be there at the end of the season again.
Yeah, they're not a team to take lightly, bro. I mean, I think it was a blessing in disguise. Not wishing injury on anybody, but I think it was a blessing in disguise that Trey Lance got hurt because Shanahan knows what he has with Jimmy G. He knows how to make this offense go. And
this is what the Packers should look like. 35 pass attempts, 35 rushes.
Yep, exactly. I mean, and maybe they'll do that going forward. But I just don't think this Niners team is one to take lightly. Granted, yes, they played the Panthers and they won handily. I don't think it's just something's up in Carolina that's they're tearing it all down. It's a dumpster fire. I think they're probably the worst team in the NFL, hands down. Like that, they have to be like. There's going to be more moves to be made. I don't think that you got to look. Do you want to keep? I would look at trading Christian McCaffrey. Some contending team is going to need a running back like him. J.C. Horn, you're probably going to have to get rid of him. I mean,
you're clearing house. Okay.
A couple cornerbacks because I mean, think about it. Like you don't want to pay. You're not going to pay these guys. I think they're going to just. I think you're going to – and then you still owe that coach $40 million or more. Like, man, this team is going to have to be tore down, I think. Like, then you're going to have to find a quarterback to draft or bring someone in as a free agent that's much better than what you've got. It's ugly over there. Now, 49ers, they should have won this game. I think with what they do, I think they should have won this game by this much. There's just too much turmoil in Carolina for them to have any success. That's what I believe. So, this game I don't have much on this game. It was ugly. I mean, ugly as shit for Carolina, and it was a good win for 49ers.
Yeah, 49ers moving to 3-2. I think at the top of that division now after Rams took that loss we talked about last game, and then this next game. We'll talk about the Eagles beating the Cardinals, so they're now at 2-3 as well in the NFC West. Eagles stay undefeated though at 5-0, and I mean they can win a multitude of ways, man. Hand it off, pass to AJ Brown. If he's not on, we'll give it to Devontae Smith. If they're covered up, we got Dallas Goedert. If none of that's working, Jalen Hurts can do it with his legs, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns this game. Cardinals did have a chance to win. Kyler rushes for a first down on second down. Looks like he gets it. He thought he got it, but he spikes the ball on third down unknowingly, causing the Cardinals to kick a field goal on fourth down, missing the field goal, missing out on the opportunity to go to overtime with the Philadelphia Eagles, and ultimately losing the game 20-17. What were your thoughts on this one?
Number one, Philly is legit, and they might even be scarier than Buffalo at this point. Just the way they got great defense, but just the way they run their offense, they got a run game with the running backs, but then obviously you got Jalen Hurts who can run the shit out of the ball, and he's looking like a very good passer right now too. And then you got AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Like, they got so many weapons out there. It's annoying almost. It's, Philly's back to being Philly, I think, and credit to them. I mean, I definitely don't want to go to Philly for a playoff game and try to win there. Like, that's not a fun place to play. Now with Arizona, I think Arizona has had a decently tough schedule. And I think that they're just going to become more dangerous as the season goes on, especially when D-Hop comes back. Because they're not a bad team by any means. They're still, I'm nervous about going against them because, number one, it's always hard to guard a running quarterback like Kyler Murray. And he makes plays, and I don't know, I'm not a fan of him, but he does what he does, and he does it well. So I think, I kind of had this in the back of my mind coming into the season. I was like, normally Arizona starts off hot and then fizzles out, but this year feels different. I think they're going to start out slow and they're going to catch fire at some point. And they're a team I think you have to look out for down the road late into the season, going into the playoffs. So I don't think that. I think they played Philly as the best they could right now. I think if you throw in D-Hop in there, you give him a little bit more of a fit because he's one of the hardest receivers to guard in the league. But overall, this was a good, gritty win by Philly. Not every game is – NFL is hard, man. Every week is hard. Like, it's been an interesting year with how close these games have been. How close these records are so far. So Philly's not going to run away with every game. So to pull out these close nail biters, it makes a team a lot tougher going into late into the season when you're used to battling at the end of these games. Philly, yeah, they're legit. Arizona, I think they're not a bad team. This game was fun to watch, and I think Arizona had just signed that kicker to their team as well. I think Amendola, he got signed to Kansas City beforehand when Harrison Butker went out. But so I don't know much about that kicker, how good he is, but it was a good game. I wanted Arizona to pull it off because I don't want Philly to be undefeated. Because looking at their schedule, I don't see many losses on there, man. But I will say I'm very much looking forward to Sunday Night Football this week with Philly and Dallas. That will be a great game.
Well, you mentioned two things, a missed kick and Sunday Night Football. And we didn't have any of that last night, baby, because we got it done. Cincinnati Bengals took the L in Baltimore, 17-19. Like I mentioned, man, Justin Tucker is the GOAT. Makes a field goal as time expires to win the game. Lamar played well outside of a few overthrows late in that game. But outside of that, man, I'm really encouraged by what I saw by this team. The run game picked up. The defense was really the surprise for me, and we played our asses off against Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, and those boys. Got after the quarterback a little bit, forced a turnover, and it was really encouraging to see that out of this defense who has been getting shredded all year. Came into the game as the worst defense in the league and got shredded last year by the Bengals, giving up 950 pass yards to Joe Burrow. So on that side of things, we're good. Bengals, you have some work to do. You guys look out of sync. You guys look like You and the Rams are suffering from that Super Bowl hangover. I don't really believe him, but it's really looking like it's getting to you guys, man. You made a few questionable decisions down the line. You know, bad decisions on the goal line, running the Philly special, taking a big sack, loss of yards, and you pretty much kept the door open for Baltimore when you could have slammed it in our face. So we appreciate that. You're now 2-3. Baltimore's now 3-2 going into next week. What'd you think about this game?
I mean, I texted you. The one thing I just infuriated me was you're on the 2-yard line. Why are you doing a reverse or a double reverse pass and you get tackled for a loss of 15 yards?
15 yards is beautiful.
It's, kudos to you guys for making that play, but it's like when you look at the game as a neutral fan, it's like, what are you doing? I mean, if I'm a Bengals fan, I'm just pissed. Like, that is the dumbest play. I mean, you got Joe Mixon.
Right.
Run the ball, bro. Or at least do just a regular damn pass play with some creative route running, because you got Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd. I mean, I think Higgins was out at the time. He was out for second half of the game, I think, or whatever. But just dumb play calling and decision making overall for Cincinnati. Obviously, I think with Lamar, yeah, he has a tendency to, miss a few key throws each game, it seems like. But he's so dangerous and with the ball in his hand, it's like, man, how do you defend that, bro? I mean, if he was accurate as shit, like an Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, or that dude is the best player in the league.
He's the best player
Hands
ever,
down.
if that's the case.
Like, if he can work on that somehow and get that down. I mean, that one overthrow he had, the man wide open on the right sideline. I think
On fourth down.
Texted after it. Yeah. But also, you go back and look at that play. You got Mark Andrews right there at the stick.
The receiver also stopped sprinting.
True.
There was a pass before that where Lamar did overthrow a receiver closer to the hash on that right side. He overthrew that one in the end zone as well. But, yeah, Mark Andrews was super wide open to the right on that same sideline on that play. I know what you're talking about.
And, all I'm saying with Andrews being open is he's right at the stick, wide open. All you need is a first down. You don't need to go deep. I mean, you got to play to your strengths. Lamar Jackson, he's got to play to his strengths. If you're going to be, if you're going to have success on the ground, escaping the pocket like you do, being a force that way, I'm okay with Lamar dinking and dunking, because you got playmakers who are good with the ball in their hands. So how are you going to stop Lamar on the ground? Plus, he's picking you apart in the short areas of the field. That's all you need to do. I think that's the recipe that Baltimore needs to kind of go with, because when that happens, they're a very dangerous team. I mean, it's hard to stop Mark Andrews. I think you guys obviously missed Rashad Bateman out there. He's a good playmaker for y'all. But I think Marcus Williams is out for a little while now with a dislocated wrist.
That
which
hurts.
a little bit, but
That hurts a lot.
It was nice and encouraging, though, to see Baltimore's defense not melt down and shit it away. It's like that's got to be a breath of fresh air after the couple games you've had with Buffalo and Miami.
Yeah,
so
cheeks were clenched last night.
I think. What's the schedule looking like for Baltimore going forward? I mean, they're going to make the playoffs. I know that they're going to make the playoffs.
We got a revenge game against Wink Martindale this week.
Okay. How do you feel about
It's
that?
going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
We'll talk next episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about it
tomorrow. Are they a pretender? But we'll see. We'll talk about that in the next episode here. But I think it was a fun game to watch, though. Overall, these division games on primetime are always fun. I think because these divisional games, they know each other so well. I mean, you tend to play a little harder, I think, when you're going against your rival. And they're never, ever really too high scoring. They're kind of typically like this. I mean, it comes down to the wire usually. So and that's even. I mean, even that, granted, the Vikings went against the Bears, and the Bears suck, in my opinion, but it was a divisional game as well. Like they know what we do, like, and they made the great adjustments that they did. So in the second half, so credit to them. But it was another fun week of football, man. This season is just, I'm losing even more hair the way this shit's going. Like I don't know what to fucking do, bro. Like or say about it. It's just granted, it's only 5 weeks, 5 games. Records are usually a little bit closer in the early parts going like this, but I mean, the amount of 3-2 and 4-1 teams that you have, 2-3, like everyone's neck and neck right now. Anything can shake out at this point.
I agree. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here? I was going to ask you for your predictions on this game, but it is 17-0 Raiders over the Chiefs right now.
I had a feeling, bro. I told you, Raiders, they tend to have the Chiefs number.
What?
You have the picks that we made? Did you write down the picks that we made last week?
Yeah, I wrote them down. Yeah. They're also on the recording.
Do you have those on hand?
Oh, not on hand, no.
Okay. I think we might have both picked the Chiefs, but I was hesitant a little bit because I think the Raiders are a good team. They just got to put.
I feel like you smoked me this week, just because I know you picked the Jets. I just feel like I lost everything when the Jets won that game.
I think the Dolphins are, especially without Tua,
they're in
bro.
trouble.
I think they're pretenders, bro. I think they had a great first couple weeks, but
hey, we can talk about pretenders tomorrow.
Yeah,
I want to talk about pretenders and hot seat.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get to it, but I think it's a fun season so far. I mean, you like when shit is. You don't like when shit's a runaway all the time. Obviously, when it's your team, it comes to your team, like you want shit to be more runaway because I don't like sweating each week. But
hell no.
With being a fan of football in general, though, and watching every team, it's fun to watch. Upsets and just the head-to-head battles that these teams are playing each other the way they are, because I can't remember a season where we've had so many games each week being like one possession at the end. Like it's been nuts. Like, I mean, NFL Red Zone is just mind-boggling each week because it's like, what the hell is going on here? I mean, 3-point games all the way around, damn near. It's like you got at least 3 or 4 of them each week so far.
You can't ask for anything better than that.
No, man.
For week 6, I know we got some good matchups coming up. We touched on a few of them, but we'll definitely have the episode in a couple of days for y'all. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, man. Like, subscribe, share the videos. Keep commenting. Your takes on these videos, man. Where we're right, where we're wrong, where you agree, where you disagree. It's fun to get that feedback, I think. So, let us know what you think, and yeah, man, it's only going to get better. I mean, especially once we get to playoff season, it's going to be crazy.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to do that. We got a couple things different for y'all in our next episode coming up too. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that and let us know what y'all think of the new segments. For now, until next time.
Until next time, bro.
Peace.